Private members in. Yes. HIVE Church. Getting our cards together. Good morning. Hello, everyone. Thanks for waiting while we are getting ourselves set up. Let me click on the chat. We're only looking at chats from HIVE members today. Ooh. I feel good. I feel good now. Can we do a little math over here real quick? Sure. What's the date?
The 7th. Yeah, thank you. Got to cut Thursday. I got to cut. She got washed inside.
$27. 27 day for 9. Let's see what comes up. 27. I'm pretty sure it's 27 today. Yeah. 27 is our numerology to kick our week off. Go ahead and begin settling into your space. If that looks like running to the bathroom real quick or grabbing something else to drink. If that looks like, make sure we get the right card here. Yes, we do. That looks like letting out some deep sighs. Can everyone hear okay? Let me go ahead and actually record this too.
Oh, yeah.
Just in cases.
Recording in progress.
There we go, everyone. If you got the just in cases, you are probably someone who watches the same kinds of movies as me. Alright, let's start settling in. The energy that we are kicking off the week with is called the Young Man's Transformation. So I don't know what this card is about, but I'm going to monologue here for just a moment. I am definitely in a moment of shifting my relationship to my masculine energy, what it means to have masculine energy. I think I work primarily with women, but I find that in general in our society and the way that it's set up, we often equate masculinity with force. There's a level of force that's happening.
Could you help me find a upholstery cleaner?
There's a level of force that's happening within our masculine energy. We think that we need to forcefully assert ourselves, that we need to dominate things. But our masculine spectrum, our masculine energy is, yes, pin me please. Our masculine energy is a spectrum for connection outside of self or connection within self. You can think of the 1st and 7th house for those in your birth chart. If you want to start kind of overlaying some of your understanding of your birth chart into the conversation. When I think of masculine energy for myself and the people I know and love who trust me to share their stories with me, I find that so often we are protecting or guarding our feminine energy with our masculine energy. And so we maybe identify as people who, oh, I have control issues. Yeah. I just love to be in control, but like you actually resent it. Like you resent the amount of control, right? The decision making. There's always decisions to be made. And that's because masculinity is not about control or surrender. Our masculine energy, our masculine conscious and subconscious selves are geared toward connection. It's our feminine energy that's geared toward control or surrender, power or force. I'm thinking about power and force as opposites is something that I really recommend you spend some time doing. When we think about power and force as opposites, we come into the energy of the 8-year that we are in. We are in an 8-year this year. That is the strength card in tarot. I really love this card because, yes, it's attributed to Leo. This is Leo's major arcana representative. But what you see depicted is actually Virgo and Leo in partnership. There is a kind of settling in to understand, hey, we're in this together. We're in this together. And I don't need to, most often you see the strength card depicted with a woman with her hands in the lion's mouth, holding the lion's mouth open. But in some more gentle, some more tender depictions, like the Otherkin by Ciolo Thompson, you see a woman standing side by side with the lion. I think you also see this in Modern Witch Tarot by Lisa Sturl, which is one I recommend if you're wanting to learn tarot. So when you look at the idea of Leo and Virgo together, and you look at this year as representing those energies, those archetypes, you look at the inner child. Leo is representative of the inner child. And you look at digestion. You look at processing out. It's no coincidence to me that Chiron in Aries went direct at the start of the year. Aries is the first birth into life. This is, Aries says, I am. That's our North Node experience too until January 2025. And in this burst forth into life, in the very beginning of our lives, we are so primally subconscious that we're sponging up so much of what we are taking in as children. And we're not yet making meaning. So we're having all of these confusing events that seem to haunt us and also exist just outside of cognizance, just outside of awareness. And we want to be able to access the healing of those things without having to rip the wound back open. And I think Chiron's, retrograde motion was a little bit of a, I'll say like a backslide into the Chiron and Pisces energy that we had before this long transit, because when Chiron goes retrograde, Chiron is the deepest wound on our chart. This is the part of us that longs for the most love and affection and tenderness and time and patience and all of those things. And Chiron in Pisces tends to be deeply subconscious. And so for the last probably year and a half, you've probably spent time going, you know what, if I could just figure out all of the inner workings and just like pinpoint the exact things, then maybe I could finally move on from it. And if you have found yourself in that position and you are now in a position of what I call healing from healing, You are probably in a position where you are seeking community exactly like this community. And there's a reason for that. It's because we are all actively reprogramming and reconnecting to our masculine energy. Aries is a masculine sign. You burst forth into life with full structure. So when you burst forth into life with the full structure that your body is offering you in this lifetime, you begin to figure out how all of these things work. I think this direct motion in Chiron has really represented a birth, a new birth. I was in a process of like deep restoration and recovery over the end of last year into the new year. And it was all sinus and congestion and all kinds of fluids, and I'm on my period, and there's all kinds of viscera happening. And I said so many times, I literally feel like a baby. I feel like a baby right now. And it felt like this burst forth into new life where I have this ability, this deeper ability to choose the I am, to choose that energetic contract that goes on the other side of I am. Whatever you say after am is an energetic contract. And so when we are bursting forth into new life as Chiron goes direct, we are finding our masculine energy is fortified in new ways, whatever that means for you. If your masculine energy and your desire or ability to connect has been diminished over time, you find yourself hardened, right? We call them like walls over our heart. You're probably experiencing a softening. Whereas if you're someone who has spent a lot of time in a very soft space where you were receiving, wherever that falls on the spectrum, if you were in that very soft space, you're probably finding yourself feeling like you have like a bit of an exoskeleton to like contain that softness. Like you're finally taking some form. I think of in utero, we're formed as like a spinal column up and then everything kind of out. And it's like, if I think about that in terms of our masculine energy, our feminine energy, our spinal column, all of the joints, the bones, the structure, right? That's our masculine energy. And then our feminine energy is everything around that. That's deeply masculine first, feminine follow. So connection first, power follow. Isolation first, force follow. So when we isolate within, when we retreat from connection, when we retreat into that exoskeleton, we find ourselves hidden in kind of the shadow of masculine energy. Think about if you were in a shell and then you retracted really far back into the corner. Everything would be very, very dark. And so, of course, it's harder to seek light when everything, as far as the eye can see, is darkness. So when I'm in this space, like I'm finding myself becoming much softer. I have been the way that I have seen my like heart space, seen my heart chakra, that energetic space between, like behind your breastbone, as the Dispenza meditation often calls it in. I described it as this like calcification, like this calcium, literally calcium, bone, right? All joint, all masculine. And that's what's been just like over that. And in this process of transformation and committing to habits and actions that support that transformation, that support me being in this process, I have felt that soften. I have felt that start to kind of like slough off. And if it sounds gross, like it kind of is, being covered in matter and viscera and snot and fluids and all kinds of stuff, like being a baby, being brand new and not yet able to fully understand all of the experiences happening around you, but being the adult as that baby and being able to fully understand what you're experiencing. Being able to take full responsibility, there's the hawk. Being able to take full responsibility for the experiences that you're having and moving forward with those. That is I am. That is a return to your body's natural order, because we have a body that is designed or geared to be able to be durable enough for accountability, for responsibility. We have a body that is durable enough to own when new habits need to happen. We have a body that is durable enough for the friction it takes to become something new. And so when I find myself in this, like, young man's transformation, masculine energy transformation space, I find that what I'm really experiencing is this softening, this ability to access lightness and connection, and we've kind of like had this like ongoing like right on timeness, right? This space feels like I have access to desire, like I have access to sturdy hope, like I have access to a crystal clear inner vision. So that's what I'm experiencing before we even get into the energy of this card. That's already what the message I'm already receiving just from connecting to the title alone. Do you have anything you want to share?
No, go ahead and read it.
I'm gonna show you. Young man's transformation. The beast looms large above the imagination of change. Who guards this child's request to be born, to be felt, to be free? The mother takes many forms to nourish and protect her child. She teaches him how to hold the vessel of God, the unknown, so that he will never go without. The mother takes many forms to nourish and protect her child. She teaches him how to hold the vessel of God, the unknown, so that he will never go without. I recently had a conversation with a client who, without going into detail, was experiencing a challenging situation with a preteen and their faulty attempts at connection. And sometimes when we make attempts to connect, when we make attempts to connect, we rely on the faulty strategies that we've learned over time in that deeply subconscious space. When we get to the egoic self at, preteen age, we're really applying meaning. And I described this as the situation as one person's ability to connect into this child and let him know this is how you be in the state of uncertainty. And I do think that is one of the most treasured experiences for masculine energy, is how to be in this state of anticipation, anticipating that connection is inevitable, anticipating that I will never go without, that connection is always there for me. That's how you redefine a relationship to the self. That's how you redefine a relationship to action, to drive, to that deep inner well that says I can do these things even if I don't feel intrinsically motivated to do them, even if I don't know yet whether or not they're working. I can get going. It's that initiator, igniting energy that we're accessing. And it starts with the mother, that feminine body. Listening to the feedback that your body is giving you. Your body is designed to experience peace. And your body is expressing the symbolic meaning that you are making of the experiences that you're having all the time, and it's showing up in the form of those random little illnesses and that tickle in your throat that you just can't figure out why it's happening, and the, things that seem to come up and seem inevitable, right? It's people like to say it's cold and flu season, and that's not the case. And people like to counter with, well, it's sugar season, and it's also like, yeah, but that's not the case. It's also jealousy season. It's also comparison season. Your joints been bothering you? Those are questions to ask yourself. A large black glass skyscraper looms monolithic in the background of this picture, while a small young boy holding an empty vessel stands in the foreground. At his back is a scarlet peony in full bloom. A red butterfly emerges from the top of one corner of the skyscraper, while a red rose rises from the other side. The night sky above brings the monument of the city into play with the vastness of the cosmos. The sharp angles of the building are fortress-like and emphasize the vulnerability of the child standing at its foundation. Young man's transformation is about the juxtaposition between our human vulnerability and the fortresses we build to safeguard that part of ourselves. We make big, scary structures to protect the inner child, and yet, all we may need is an empty vessel in which to hold our dreams. Our soul's mission here is to grow, not to build walls between us and life. It may be time to look and see if you're being appropriately protective, or if you're trying to build a fortress in which to hide away, safe from the wounds that have already occurred. I believe it was Alice Sparkly Cat on Instagram, Alice Sparkly Cat with a K. They posted about Mercury's forward motion in Sagittarius. I think that was the post. I can't remember which one, but it was a recent transit. And they said, in this transit, I want you to stop protecting your grief. I want you to stop protecting your grief. I want you to look at the actions that you're taking as like adding that calcium on, right? Our acting, our out, our connecting energy, the energy we connect with and connect to, the actions that we take, that's our masculine energy. And when you can think in terms of calcification, you can think in terms of calcium, bone. And you think about the energy that you're sending out, or the energy that you're trying to send out to keep a further and further space between you and what it is you really want. And the only reason why is because you are unwilling to look at the pain that's sitting behind those layers of calcification. You're unwilling to look at each new layer of pain that comes up, because most pain just takes a moment of looking at it. That's what we have spent the last, oh God, it feels like forever, but especially the last few months. We have really understood that looking at something, looking at the pain, looking at the story, looking at the meaning you're making, and observing yourself, breaking that fourth wall, looking dead at the camera, right? Like the Office style, and being able to observe what's happening, see it as practice, see it as something you're doing in an effort to promote softness, in an effort to promote connection. Sometimes our actions, I can think of, especially like things that I find to be particularly triggering or grating. It's like, I would rather him just not do those things. But rather than control his behavior, right, try to exert force, exert out action, build that calcification up that says, don't connect into me, don't hear the experience that I have, don't witness the dramatics that flare up inside of me when I have these things, right? Like, I get to access a different type of relationship when I'm allowed to have a little relationship theatrics, right? We both tend to be a little dramatic. in our expression of things. And so when I'm allowed to have that, like, this is allowed, he's allowed to do this, it's allowed to bother me, and I'm allowed to express that, and all three of those things can occur simultaneously.
Yeah.
Like, there's that breaks the fourth wall, and you're able to get into that observer state that's like, that's so interesting that it's bothering me, but like, I'm otherwise having a really enjoyable time. I wonder if I'm allowed to shift my focus for one more minute.
Yeah.
Just one more minute. If I could focus on connecting in and enjoying. And that's not me learning how to endure something. That's me really questioning the autopilots that my brain goes into when I'm not making that active choice.
Yeah.
You know? Choice. Sometimes it feels as if life presents an either-or choice about taking care of your needs or self-protection. Can you find the balance point between the two extremes you are faced with at this time? Integrate that understanding. What fortress have you built within you that you think is impenetrable? Is it keeping you from being open to opportunity? I think sometimes we build fortress with action that's like kind of frivolous action too. Like repetitive actions that we're being consistent for consistency's sake. There's a couple of people in our group who are small business owners. And if you are a small business owner, you know that it can sometimes feel like if you're not taking action, that nothing is happening and that everything's going to fall apart. And yeah, like you experience this like deep, profound sense of responsibility that sometimes borders on like a neurotic sense of, or a vigilant sense of self-responsibility, like overly making yourself responsible. And like I know for me that goes back to patterns that I experienced in childhood too, making myself overly responsible for things as a way to appease a feeling. And like I'm realizing literally like right now that I'm just appeasing that feeling within me of knowing I need to act when I'm doing that. And it's like, why wouldn't I just act rather than try to appease the sensation and lessen the sensation? And it's about taking the action that you know you need to be taking rather than taking action just for the sake of taking action. When I wait for, it feels like I often know the actions I need to take. And it's like this theater in my mind where I'm not doing it and I know I need to do it. And oh God, I'm like fighting against myself, like internally. This is all happening in my mind and my body and my subconscious, but it's all happening internally. On the outside, I'm just like chilling. And it's like, why would I think that that's happening anywhere other than in that inner space? So it needs to, it's a game I'm playing with myself. So when I wait for what happens beyond those theatrics of like, oh my God, will I do it? Won't I do it? What's on the other side of that is knowing exactly when it's the right time to do things and doing it exactly on time and feeling like, wow, I am so fully capable, so fully competent, so fully confident. This is easy. And something that I really believe to be true is if things are not, like things are easy for us. When we work together, things are easy for us. Things are easeful for us, or it's easy to face the friction that it takes to make it easy when we do those things together. So if it's not easy yet, I either haven't done it long enough to know whether or not the way I'm doing it is working and I need to keep going and face the friction and like let my mental energy kind of like take over and really hone my mindset, or I'm not taking the right action yet. I'm not doing it the right way yet. And perhaps I was trying to force it. I really want to draw a parallel to birth here. So this is specific for birthing people who have these organs, you are going to find that you are able to experience a different type of birth experience than what mainstream media and what our medical industry shares as the birth experience that you're determined to have, that you're destined to have, that's full of pain and yelling, and it's disgusting, and it's awful, and it's this just like medical event that needs like all of this sterility around it. And the reality is our bodies are so capable of learning how to use little force to allow this experience to happen. And now every birth is different. Every birth experience is different because every body is different. But for a broad sweeping, just so you know, in case no one has ever told you, your body is significantly more capable than you have known. And believing your body to be so capable of expressing itself with peace instead of force, that's power. Understanding this deep well of power that exists within you, and this is not just for women, this is not just for birthing people, this is for everyone. You have this deep well within your own feminine energy to allow things to come forth in perfect time, and trusting the core, trusting the foundation, trusting that you have built those things and being able to express them in their own time. Everything has its own time. That doesn't mean we don't take action when we know we need to take action. It means that we take action when we hear that peaceful transition into now. So we need to be able to hear that peaceful transition into now. So in the Hive group chat, I'm going to share a link with y'all that is the Joe Dispenza meditation that Ryan and I have done almost every day for the last 7 days. Yeah, I think we missed like one day of meditation. And this is a meditation I strongly recommend if you want and are ready to get extremely responsible for your reality. And extremely responsible without self-shame, without self-judgment. Extremely responsible does not mean vigilantly responsible, to tie back into the beginning of this conversation. Extremely responsible means creating awareness around your deeper ability to choose differently and recognizing your real capacity for choosing differently. If you want to know what your capacity is at on a daily basis, we have a good 10-minute meditation on the channel. You can find that and you can get into your capacity, understand what's in your capacity, what you are keeping within your capacity that you're free to let go of at any time, and you can begin the inner process of choosing a different reality. So this Joe Dispenza meditation that I'm going to link is for you if you are ready to take responsibility, because this is going to clarify your inner vision. Joe Dispenza's meditations, Joe Dispenza
This is a good one to do like a couple of times too.
Yeah.
Like I almost think of it as like a dream that you keep having the same nights in a row.
Yes.
Like you can kind of build. This is a guided meditation you can kind of build on. Is how I've been using it. So it's good for that.
The meditation uses all of Joe Dispenza's wealth of resources and knowledge and information.
That's cool.
About what it means to use your mind to create new experience in this psyche. Mm-hmm. To use the 10% that you're conscious of to make new experience, or find the deeper experience in the 90% and then pull it back into that 10% of consciousness. That's really what it is. You're using your mind to go into the psyche, pull a truth out and bring it back into your consciousness. This is what Carl Jung calls making the unconscious conscious. You only have 10% awareness, 10% self-awareness. You are 90% subconscious. Again, Joe Dispenza, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. That's where this information is coming from, citing my sources, right? So when you can use your mind, you can use the 10% that you're conscious of to then disarm the mind. That's kind of how I look at this meditation, is it uses the mind to disarm the active mind to get into the subconscious mind. Because he prompts you to rest your awareness in different places of your body. When you rest your awareness in different places of your body, you can even right now, if we were to stop just for a minute, close your eyes, take a couple of breaths. And I'm going to prompt you to rest your awareness between your ears, in the space between your ears. Even in that short moment, you are able to feel your awareness in a different way. You are able to feel the experience that you're having with greater presence. And so when you do this meditation, you're going to learn exactly what it is that you want, and you are going to learn exactly what it is that you're doing that is actively working against that. And let me tell you, self-awareness is frustrating. What is it like? We are self-awareness to what is self-awareness to a self-frustrating mechanism. It's continually self-frustrating. So the greater awareness you gain, the more frustrated, the more friction you're going to feel. So if you are already not at a point where you can face the friction that you're currently experiencing, I strongly recommend just doing that and learning how to do that. Otherwise, listen to this meditation. We are not going to do, that's a lie. We are for sure going to do a meditation. All right. We are going to get into a meditation for a few moments. Everyone find a comfortable seated position, lying down, whatever's comfortable for you. Check your posture. Tuck your tailbone a little bit. You got your butt sticking out. Don't think of your rib cage going splaying wide. Think of the end of your rib cage kind of gently buttoning in. Gently buttoning in as you exhale. Check in with your pelvic floor. As you breathe in, your pelvic floor presses down. And as you exhale, it pulls up. Doesn't matter who you are, you should be able to feel this sensation. In a physical sense, even if you don't emotionally relate to that place. Gently close your eyes. Take a breath in. Exhale and drop in. Bring your awareness to your breath. The rise and fall of your body. and settle yourself right behind your belly button. Feel the space between your belly button and your spine. Can you feel the space in front of your belly button? Place your awareness in the space behind your breastbone. Can you feel the space between your ribs? And can you feel the space beyond your ribs? Rest your awareness in the space inside your throat. Place your awareness next to your heart. Send warm, glowing light from your hand into your heart. See your heart space illuminated. Take a look. Notice everything you see. Hold on to nothing. Offer compassion for what you've seen to your heart. Compassion doesn't change, it bears witness. It shepherds validation. It cherishes the meaning that we made and sends it on its way. Thank your heart now for showing you its truth. And give gratitude for yourself now for the responsibility you'll gladly take for what you've seen. When you're ready, bring awareness back to your toes, your feet. Steady your breath and return to the present. Drink lots of water today. These types of clarifying meditations do directly interact with magnesium and potassium in our bodies. If you are versed in electrolytes, that means add them into your day. Those are most people are low in potassium, and most people are low in potassium and magnesium, especially women. Magnesium is really vital to your menstrual cycles. So we are going to pull some cards in just a second. I'm actually going to write down some questions that I'm going to pull for today.
Okay.
I don't know. It still says it's live. All right. So, if you are, I don't think anyone that's on live right now has been a tarot client of mine. So that is what I just did is exactly how I would run my tarot readings. I'm like learning what's going on with someone. We're talking for a bit, getting to know their situation, and then we're just kind of it's just a natural flow of a conversation, and then it's like, all right, I've got questions that I've now formed throughout that conversation, and we're gonna find out what's going on underneath the surface. So again, with all tarot readings, not just mine, with all tarot readings, take only what is yours. Leave the rest. The first question is, what is my heart's desire to connect to right now? The next question is, what actions am I taking from an old identity? Then, how can I let go of that identity? What new actions does my heart long for? And how can I restore this week to allow those actions the space they need within my capacity? I have two piles going. If you identified as someone who is in a position to be finally softening your masculine energy to connect, one of these will be for you. And if you are someone who has found yourself to be someone who is becoming more fortified and sturdy in their masculine energy, one of these will be for you. However, we are all here on this reading together, so that means there is probably wisdom from both piles for you. So again, as always, take what is yours and leave the rest. So for one of our columns, we have, what is my heart's desire to connect to right now? We have strength and 4 of Swords reversed. We have strength and 4 of Swords reversed. For some of us, this desire to connect is to soften, to lay those swords down and rather stop laying down on the swords. I would say perhaps letting go of and feeling a little bit stronger for action. This is, you are probably someone who, like I said, is feeling like you need to become a little sturdier, or you are becoming a little sturdier in your masculine energy. Some other things you might be experiencing right now. So if this is you, some other things you might be experiencing right now, imagining more snake medicine, and the dream always comes disguised as the nightmare. So if this is you, you're probably someone who is trying to move on from these past patterns, the ways of being that have kept you in like this, like we talked about, like preserving your grief, protecting your grief by avoiding rather than facing. You are probably someone, we have snake medicine here. We have snake medicine here. I love this card. It is a reminder that a little bit of the thing that tastes bitter is going to ultimately save your ass in the end. So the problem is the solution. Facing the thing is the solution. And the dream always comes disguised as the nightmare because, like I said, we like
These go
dramatics in this
together.
house. Yeah.
These two.
We like dramatics in this house. So, like, it's okay if there's we have this deck called the Affirmators, and it's talking about getting up the mountain, and it's like, nobody climbs up Mount Everest without, like, cussing a little bit, okay? You don't have to be happy about doing the things, but it's worth examining your unhappiness to be doing those things. And it's like, it's worth examining why it has to be a frustrating experience, why it feels like you constantly have to face nightmares. I think these are the types of people who tend to prefer hard to swallow pills because these are people who were probably spanked as kids and feel like in order to motivate, I need a little bit of harsh consequence. So I create the harsh consequence inside and I tell myself the story of it's hard so I can go ahead and punish myself before I ever take the action. And it's like, do we hear the flawed logic in the situation there, right? So for you as someone who's identifying as needing to become sturdier, that is your heart's desire to connect right now. If you are someone who is in a position to be softening, you are, holy crap, I love tarot so much. Your heart's desire right now is 10 of Cups and 7 of Wands. You want to stop being so defensive. This is highly relevant in my life personally. I really love the 10 of Cups is like in this depiction, you have like partners and a baby, and you've got the 10 cups of like emotional fulfillment. And it's like this rebirthed self, and it's like rebirthed in wholeness. Our whole energy feels safe, secure. Our masculine energy, our feminine energy, it can take care of this new, soft, vulnerable life, and we are allowed and safe to set down our defenses. I'm basically reading you my diary at this point. So that is what I'm experiencing. If you are also finding this, that you're in this photo and you do not like it, here are some other things you might be experiencing. Again, these are people who have been really hardened in their connection energy and are looking to or are in a period of softening. These are other things that you might also be experiencing. Is there another one?
No, I think it was all. Just 3 of them.
First up, we have Break the Cycle. I do too. Break the Cycle, check to self, and interdependence. Holy guacamole, I love this. All right. We have been talking a lot about interdependence in our house as the secret third option outside of codependence and utter self-reliance. Okay? There is a secret third option. It is called interdependence. It is called I'm responsible for me, you're responsible for you, but I also have a responsibility and a duty to the us, the secret third thing that is opened up when we come into connection with each other. This is called having the right relationship. This is called, and it's not just extended for people you're in romantic relationship, having the right relationship with people you come into contact with. And saying, I'm looking out for me, you're looking out for you, but I'm also looking out for the integrity of the third thing that's opened up when we come into connection with one another, and the effect that it has potential for on all of the other relationships I come into connection with. Interdependence is the ability to have both self-responsibility and know that you are totally taken care of. I have a responsibility to act, and I am totally taken care of. And when I act in a way that makes me feel as if I am not taken care of, I look for ways to take care of myself.
What did I say this morning? Like, for me personally, I just have to like stay consistent
Yeah. Mm.
for my success
Mm-hmm.
as a person.
And we that's kind of what I thought of with the consistency for consistency's sake versus consistency for alignment's sake, right? Like we've been talking about this being right on time, and it's like if I am consistent in listening to my intuition, I'm going to be consistent in all of the other things that are correct for me to be listening to, the voices that are correct for me to be listening to. I'm going to be able to easily hear. I think of that meditation I did the other day where it felt like I had this like airstream current opened up between my ear and my nose. I'm able to hear or feel whatever your intuitive sense is. And by the way, you can find your intuitive sense on your human design chart. You can literally find how you connect to what your personal intuition is like. Strongly recommend doing that. So we have break the cycle, check to self, and interdependence. If you're someone who is trying to set your 7 of Wands down, you're trying to be less defensive, softer, able to say yes to receiving is a big like aspect of what I'm personally connecting to. We have break the cycle, check to self, and interdependence. You are giving yourself what you are owed. Check to self, paid in full. You're giving yourself what you are owed. You're doing yourself justice by breaking the cycles, by becoming interdependent rather than believing codependency is a result of believing that things are going to be the same forever. And so we maintain and protect and preserve the way things are by continuing to say yes to the same stuff and no to the same stuff. And this is the notion that if you are softening, you are really finally giving yourself what you are owed. And I am so proud of us. I am so proud of us for doing that. If you identified as fortifying your masculine energy, becoming sturdier in your connections, what actions are you currently taking from an old identity? We have 3 of Swords and 2 of Pentacles. Doing too much and a negative mindset. Doing too much, 2 of Pentacles. I'll say making yourself a victim to the actions you need to take is probably the actions that's being taken from an old identity. 3 of Swords suggests, and even I love to look at the symbolism on each. Like I think that the deck that I subconsciously or intuitively connect to for readings also gives its own symbolism. So typically you have like the 3 swords going in, but you have one coming up from the bottom, suggesting, typically, so then it would be like, if it's reversed, you're falling on the swords yourself. If it's upright, someone feels like it's doing it to you. But this suggests self-responsibility. There's 1 piercing from the bottom and 2 piercing from the top. So we have the 2 swords from the 2 of Swords. This is turning out or tuning out and turning down the volume on external feedback to get clear in your mind, but it's suggesting that your body is also a contributing factor here. It suggests that there is outward perspective and inner perspective that you might be needing to tune into. If you are ignoring and you are still feeling pulled between 2 different routes, put yourself out of your misery. Make your choice and go full speed ahead. This is actions from an old identity when we keep ourselves in that state of like, will I, won't I? Am I going to do it? Am I not going to do it? We are keeping ourselves in a state of unknown, of uncertainty. And our masculine energy, again, needs to know how to be in uncertainty, but you're wasting your masculine energy with the will I, won't I, and you need to be spending it on will it come out or will it won't, right? Or will it not? And the only way you're going to know is if you do it. So you have to actually get going on your pursuit. Get going on your pursuit. Stop hemming and hawing between, am I going to do it? Am I not going to do it? That is a boring game you are playing with yourself. This is not interesting to play the game this way. It's not interesting to exhaust yourself before you ever get going. So this is a reminder for those of you who are really starting to fortify your masculine energy that a little bit of doing it goes a long way. Less is more. Snake medicine becomes snake poison pretty quickly. So less is more. Less of the victim mentality and more of the I'm going to make an active choice. I'm going to make an active choice. If you are someone who's in a position to be softening the actions that you're taking right now from an old identity, God, basically just like reading myself on live. We have the Sun and Queen of Swords. So this is the Leo card. This is Queen of Swords. This is our Queen of Communication. This is the snappiness, the quick to back up. This is definitely something that I am personally connecting into, an action that I continue to identify in that Joe Dispenza meditation that I was talking about. An action I continue to identify is my swiftness and being able to repurpose that skill into a physical skill so that it is not a weapon to keep people away from me and is instead a tool to draw people in. So the actions that you might be taking from that old identity would be, you could perhaps be in a state of denying what your inner child has already expressed to you. So perhaps your inner child has already expressed, but you're continuing to be a harsh parent to yourself. Queen of Swords can be a particularly harsh parent, and the Sun does represent our inner child. In the Rider-Waite-Smith depiction, you see a child, in the Modern Witch Tarot, which is a modern update on Rider-Waite-Smith. You see a child on a white horse waving a red flag with the sun shining down on them. And it's this knowing that, like, okay, no matter what, my inner child and I, like, we're going to get out to the other side. This inner child doesn't have to be the one leading the parade. This inner child is the one that I'm taking care of. And I want to make sure that I'm the person that's helping their light shine rather than being the same thing for myself that other people were, to be cutting it off, to be biting or critical or judgmental. You know, I'm kind of projecting here because those are things that I experience. So
it's like a POV, like you're looking back, like leading the horse with the little kid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would be a beautiful update to this card. Is like the wise, the wise self, like this like matured self, and this Queen of Swords is one of the mother archetypes in the tarot deck. So what actions am I taking from an old identity? Perhaps you're parenting your inner child the same way your mom did. And that's a yikes for me, dog. So connecting into that. Am I doing that? Be honest, be aware, take radical responsibility. If the answer is yes, like the answer is yes. Acknowledge it. The sooner you acknowledge it and stop pretending like you're not, or stop pretending like you can keep that light off in that room and not face that, the sooner the problem will go away. The sooner that pain, right? Thinking of it like physical pain, the sooner that will go away. And again, your body will accurately reflect when you have let that go, because the same illnesses that always crop up, or the same little issues like in your body that seem to always crop up, those will lessen also. Your body will show you metaphorically that growth is happening. It will also show you subconsciously so you can tune into your dreams. So for those of you that are identified with the identity of will I, won't I, am I finally going to do it, or am I going to continue to make myself a victim to these things? Like, how do we let go of that identity? Whew. We have 10 of Swords and Page of Wands. 10 of Swords and Page of Wands. This does suggest going deep into the inner child's experience. The inner child's fire. Our pages are inner children. And 10 of Swords, I mean, we have a person that's like down. Like, they're really down. And
they're pretty young.
They look young. And our page is young. So going to that inner child and going like, yes, you felt so much. Let me validate that experience. Our masculine energy is validating experience. Is a validating energy. That's why so many women get frustrated with men when they go to problem solving, is because masculine energy is designed to just validate, is designed to say, I can see that. This is what's happening, and to name it clearly, that structure, right? So when you can go to that inner child and say, yes, baby, you were feeling so much. And I understand that you did not have anyone to help you, but guess what? We're not going to stay in that space anymore. I'm here to help. I'm here to help you name what you're feeling and give it nuance and give it meaning. So it's not just sad and mad and glad. And you've got, the vocab words that, we all learned when we were first beginning to, that's Page of Wands, right? Like that first foray into communication. We have Mercury in Sagittarius as it's headed back to Capricorn. I'm not sure that it's already in Capricorn right now, but we have the moon in Sagittarius right now also as we're loading for this Capricorn new moon. If you have Capricorn on your chart, which most people who tend to interact here are millennials, or like earlier, like close. I tend to have like people that are around this like millennial, Gen X, like whatever follows after millennial, right underneath that. I can't remember. I tend to have this bubble. So you have Capricorn, Neptune in Capricorn. You have Uranus in Capricorn. I tend to also magnetize and attract to me people with Capricorn placements and Cancer placements. If you are a Sagittarius, Gemini, Cancer, or Capricorn, or you have Earth as a heavy placement on your chart, this is just in general for you right now. This communication energy that we have access to is giving you courage to make things different, to make a different choice. You can make new meaning of old events at any time. So when you say things to yourself like, of course that always happens. Words are spells. So we activate that part of us that says, continue the pattern, let the pattern continue going. And Page of Wands is this reminder that you can also remember your magic whenever you want. Like, yeah, you've got those 10 swords in you, but also realizing that you're the one putting them there and you can make magic at any point. That's a really profound shift because our swords are our communication and our words are spells. So this is a reminder to use those spells wisely. Letting go of that identity means giving yourself time to communicate, then you give yourself time to communicate, to hear your inner voice, to hear your inner knowing. Again, because this is for people who are feeling like you're in a position of, will I, won't I? Am I finally going to do it? Am I finally going to follow through? Or am I going to stay in this space? And it's a reminder that how to let go of that old identity is to just start. Page is a fresh beginning. 10 of Swords does suggest the cycle is over. I know 10 of Swords is like doom, gloom, scary, but like it's a reminder that the cycle is ended. 10 is the end of a cycle. So when we get to the 10 of Swords, I'm like, well, that sucked, but at least we're here. At least we're in a fresh communication cycle. So this is a reminder that you can make a new choice at any moment. If you identified with needing to shift the way that you're parenting yourself, if you identified with perhaps parenting yourself the way a parent did, being harsh with yourself, critical, judgmental, and you're also breaking the cycle, then how can you let go of that identity? We have 8 of Cups and 8 of Wands. Your reminder is also to get fucking going. Get going. It's the same message for both cards. You make the choice. This is a double 8 situation. I love this. I love this energy. 8 of Cups is making the difficult decision, leaving, even if it's in the middle of the night, making your decision and just going full speed ahead. 8 of Cups is like, oh my God, it's this treacherous journey. And 8 of Wands is like, fine, that's fine. Just put it on the motorcycle and like, let's go. Let's ride.
8 of Wands is like, at least like, the journey sounds cool though.
Yes, it is. It's like, it is. I like that. I really like that. It's like,
oh, it's a big journey. It's like
okay. That sounds cool though.
Okay.
Like
so what did you say? You've been saying like, oh, I haven't changed my mind in a while.
I could go for I could go for changing
my mind. Yeah, it's like I could go for doing something a little crazy. Like big journey. Okay. Yeah,
sounds good. Like, what else am I doing in this incarnation?
Yeah,
you know. And so we have this reminder, if we go off of that you choose your perspective. It can be the Eight of Cups or it can be the Eight of Wands. You can do it like it's a great weight on you, or you can do it like it's part of the dance. That's Ram Dass. You can do it like the 8 freaking cups, or you can do it like the 8 freaking wands. The choice is yours. The pace is yours. It doesn't matter what pace you take, though. Get going. And remember, tangible action. Like, we love tangible action. So the next question was, what new actions does my heart long for? So I'm not looking to change the, like, psychological event just yet, but I promise you the psychological event can shift a lot easier if you're committed to habits and actions that support a new psychological experience. If you're committed to making new meaning and taking responsibility for the meaning that you're making. So, that being said, if you are someone who identifies with a fortification space, you're in a fortification space, and removing yourself from victim mentality and reminding yourself that a little bit goes a long way, but I'm allowed to want more, and, you know, taking right action, having right relationships, validating yourself in a space of uncertainty. What new actions is your heart longing for right now? We have Queen of Cups reversed and Knight of Swords. Less drama, more action. Less of the Queen of Cups reversed is a taker. She's a taker. Queen of Cups reversed is, in my opinion, some really toxic feminine energy that we get into.
Kind of like Ursula.
Yeah,
she kind
of does.
The 2 eels.
Yeah.
2 sailors.
Yeah, she kind of does. Yeah, this is, and I will show the card again. Queen of Cups reversed tends to be the bottomless well, bottomless cup energy. And so what new actions does your heart long for? It's less of I'm never satisfied and more of I'm committed to finding gratification in the process and the doing. And so again, a reminder that you choose your perspective. If you don't have structure, then of course you'll feel bottomless. Of course you'll feel like nothing fills you up. But if you have structure that makes you happy to commit to, that's a big priority for us right now, is structure that I feel glad, I feel joyful to commit to. Like, this was structured into our day. I had a schedule. I have a schedule. There's something that's happening after that, and then like, things after that.
And I think of it like, it's a cup I look forward to pouring myself into each day.
Yes,
like
that's
you
a good way
build
to put
the structure, like, and then like pour yourself into it each time.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So that again is for you if you are identifying as someone who's becoming more fortified, becoming stronger. It's a reminder that you choose your perspective. You can choose your perspective at any time. You have to give yourself structure so that you can take right action instead of like spreading all of your action out in a way that ultimately just depletes you. Right action, that intuitive zinging yes. Again, you can find out what your intuition feels here.
These are not going anywhere for me. These are probably more secure than these.
Finding things that allow you, like Ryan said, you feel joyful to pour yourself into, that you feel joyful to connect to, and that you can choose your perspective on. When you are able to do that, the dream, it says the dream always comes disguised as the nightmare. The thing that seemed so frictionful, that tasted so bitter to do in the beginning, ultimately gains traction and it becomes the dream when you're willing to do that. So if you are identifying with the softening, receiving, 8 of Cups, 8 of Wands dance there, of choosing your perspective of, yeah, it's hard, but get going. Just fucking do it. What new actions does your heart long for? We have Ace of Wands reversed and 2 of Wands. We have Ace of Wands reversed and 2 of Wands. So the actions, the new actions that your heart's longing for is to stop putting out your spark before it can really get started. Commitment, and being able to connect, relying on those you connect to. I really like this card in Modern Witch Tarot. It has a woman standing on a balcony with a cell phone. Your cell phone is a deeply connective tool. So if you've got like a weird relationship with your phone where you are convinced that like you use your phone too much and you're constantly trying to use your phone less, even though our phones are quite literally one of the main ways we connect to people, I strongly suggest getting the hell over that as quickly as possible, because your phone is a tool for connection. So this pairing, to me, what new actions does my heart long for people who are softening, is to stop putting out the spark of connection before it can even get started. Sometimes new connections take time to grow. Sometimes new connecting to new ways of being or doing or experiencing things, new habits, new personalities, whatever it is that you're personally cultivating on learning how to receive, it takes time.
I'm thinking that like we have 2 bonsai trees that we made a few months ago, I guess, potted. But like we've been tending to them and like understanding them like in different seasons and things like that. And I saw a meme joke on
Instagram.
Instagram, and it was like, oh, this is a 900-year commitment.
Yeah.
And like it definitely is. It's funny, but it's like, parts of them are need different things and like that. It's like, well, like you were talking about,
it takes time.
It takes time. It takes a long time. It's day by day. It has to be very nurturing.
It's because you're building legacy. 10 of Cups is legacy. It's not something that's something quick like that and transferable. Right when you're building legacy, you're committing to participating in a process for an undetermined amount of time. Mm-hmm. To reference again, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, Joe Dispenza says there are 4 things you must agree to in order to genuinely make change in your life. And one of them is agreeing to committed action with a level of uncertainty that you do not know when it is going to alleviate. You have to be willing to be with the uncertainty of compounding action, because compounding action is uncertain. But when it finally compounds in a way that feels joyful, that feels good, that feels right, remember the calcification, the compounding, that's kind of the energy I'm working with. It all builds up over time. Just the way that stuff built up over time, it's going to slough away over time, and just the same, you're going to build new ways of being over time. So be patient with yourself. I'm going to ask for a little vibe check on those. All right, here we go. We have money, 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 bitch. Money, 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 bitch. You're on the money. You're doing the right thing. Yield to reality means respect that things take time. It is unnatural for things to rush. Nature is not urgent.
What do we say? That it takes years to quantum leap. Like,
yeah,
that's not something that happens instantaneously.
And that's the paradox. That's the paradox of it. If you watch Loki, I cannot tell you like the full body experience that I had in season 2 when he was like, "How long would it take me to know everything you know?" And the one
character says like decades.
Yeah.
And then
the one guy says like decades, and he chimes in and he goes, centuries. And Loki's just like, okay, I'm down. And that just like immediate acceptance of reality is something I strongly identify with, because I'm someone that like when big things occur, I'm like, okay, I'm going to just instantly accept the weight of this, because otherwise trying to like resist the weight of it, it's a futile attempt. So I love to yield to massive reality. And so in that moment, I felt him yield to reality in such a relatable way to me.
Like I've said, there's no other way but through.
Right. So again, that's the yield to reality. That's reality. Reality is the only way out of this is through. The only way for things to grow is for them to take time.
Sometimes I feel like a lot of times, like we as a whole try to like get out of things.
We try to skip the suffering.
We try to find clever ways to like skip it or get around it, or you know, just
skip the process.
Sometimes you just have to do the thing.
There's this Alan Watts talk that I love to tell clients about, where when it comes to skipping the process, because really what you're doing is a full reset. And in order to fully reset, you've got to learn new processes. So you can't skip the suffering. You can't skip the struggle. You can't skip the process. There's an Alan Watts talk, and I will paraphrase here. So you are getting ready for a beautiful night out with someone you really care about. You are getting all dressed up. You're taking your time. You're getting prepared, and you are going to go see the most gorgeous, this beautiful symphony orchestra that you have been anticipating seeing for such a long time. You're finally going to get to see them. You walk into the building, you collect your things, you go sit down, you're excited, you're ready. And you can see, you know, our curtains open and you've got the entire orchestra there. You've got beautiful seats, and the director comes out and raises their arms and directs one crashing note. Finale. But is it the finale? If there was nothing that built up to it, if there was nothing that moved you and stirred you and moved within you and grew within you and took time to express itself, because that's what being in the process does. Oh, my nipples are reacting to this. We're in a good place right now. Like, being able to let yourself be in this beautiful, beautiful process. Know that you're right on the money. Let go of the need to know how it's all going to turn out and just surrender. That's what this space is. The feminine energy is the secret thing, right? The masculine energy is the red herring here. It's the feminine energy on this side, right? It's that desire to have forceful control over what is going to happen. Just let it go. That's not real. You were never going to know the final outcome. You were never going to know the final outcome. So just do what you want to do. Lean in and let it take the time it's going to take. So again, that's for those of us who identify with a softening period. So for those of you who identify with fortifying yourself, I asked last, how can I restore this week to allow those actions, the new action of taking action, less hemming and hawing, less structure, or less lack of structure, more aligned doing? How can you restore this week? How can you restore every day this week to allow those actions the space they need within your capacity? You have to have capacity, and rest creates capacity. Rest frees up capacity. And I really love the idea of using restore here. That's language that we kind of like stumbled into last night, and it feels really empowering. So how can you restore this week? Those of you who are fortifying in your masculine energy, you're taking those first steps, you're letting go of victim mentality or the will I, won't I, and you are learning to take right action. How can you restore this week to allow those actions to take the space they need? We have Six of Cups reversed and Knight of Pentacles reversed. How can you restore this week? There's some inner child experience that you've been avoiding acknowledging, and you're keeping yourself busy as a way to avoid it. So how can you restore this week? You can connect into your inner child and remove the lens of nostalgia of the inner child's experience. Did you know that you can be nostalgic for things that suck? You can be nostalgic for things that suck. And the Knight of Pentacles reversed is a reminder that if you don't avoid rest, you're going to continue channeling that nostalgia for things that sucked into your everyday life. So how can you restore this week? You need to stop. You need to slow down. You need to get still. And you need to visit that inner child's experience. You need to remind your inner child that you are not the little child playing next to them anymore. You are the adult. I think that is one of the most primary things that's happening, is maybe there needs to be an inner mind space, inner body space, experience where you genuinely go connect into that inner child. You allow yourself to approach as the age in which you are primarily channeling your experiences right now. Maybe it's your moody inner teen, maybe it's an early 20 something version of you, maybe it's a, you know, late 20 something, early childhood, whatever it is. There's a you that you've been channeling in this kind of like, I'm in this dramatic space and this bottomless space of like feeling like you're never going to receive enough. And there's this reminder that this soft energy, going into that space softly with yourself and saying, hey, I got you, that can pull up any plant that's been potted, no matter how long it is, and put it into this new pot that can remake experience that you had. You can rewrite experiences, rewrite the meaning you made of old experiences at any time. This is a revision. I'm going to pull some action clarifier here too. So again, we're not being consistent for consistency's sake. We're being consistent in what we need to be consistent in. So this is a reminder to take right action. Right action allows us to kind of move with less friction. And incorrect action keeps us stuck in maybe viewpoints that we had in the past, or keeps us mirroring patterns we had in the past. So an additional message, and I do think this is really interesting here. I'm going to put these same but different. When left on autopilot, we often will channel these inner children. But as the adult in the driver's seat, you can break the fourth wall on your autopilot behaviors at any point. You can break the fourth wall on your autopilot behaviors at any point. We discussed a kind of, I don't know if it's a safe word, but it's more of a reminder, because when we're both in our like full up to capacity, beyond capacity, and now we're looking at each other as like pulling against each other instead of, you know, pulling on the same team, so to speak. Breaking the fourth wall for us, usually when you're in a disagreement, at some point that voice kicks in that's like, I don't want to be doing this anymore. This is silly. Like you drop into like that observer awareness. We have a trigger phrase that we use for ourselves in that moment, in our minds, in our own inner world, and it's, how's practice going? That opens up, breaks the fourth wall, identifies what you're doing as practice, identifies what you're doing as play, and opens up this wall to this like fourth dimension, so to speak, where you can access the observer self, and you can see that you're acting the same, you're channeling the same that you did as a kid, you're channeling that child, you're still same but different. But you can make a different choice now. You can be the adult in charge. So perception is reality. Don't forget that. So there's your final message. If you're identifying as someone who is in a space of fortifying your masculine energy, and if you are someone who's in a space of softening, how can you restore this week to allow those actions, the actions of trust, faith, patience, time, choosing your reality, choosing your perception, making new choices to break the cycle? How can you restore this week to allow those actions the space they need within your capacity? We have Ace of Cups reversed and the Devil. Ace of Cups reversed and the Devil. First of all, the Devil is Capricorn's card. Got a Capricorn new moon. It's on the 11th. We are in a Sagittarius moon right now. It is a really cool card. I really like that card. It reminds me of the satyrs, and the satyrs, they're the ones that are like the party animals, and they were, you know, obsessed with like sex and drinking and all of the pleasures of life, right? Ace of Cups reversed. It's a pouring out of what you thought or believed you received pleasure from. I was talking yesterday, like I feel like I'm in this year, like I made that reel the other day about like it's 1/1/2025. You just went through the last year, blah 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 blah, and I felt like I activated something. Like I felt like I activated a real experience for myself, and this right before that, I had done like one of those screenshot oracles. There's a person I love that I always post when they do it, and it was death and pleasure, and I was like, I don't understand what that means. In this like new space, we're really connecting into routines and schedules that make us feel happy to live by. And yesterday we were getting like I was slow moving, getting ready for the gym, and like I'm playing that game with myself of like, am I gonna do this? Am I gonna go to the gym? I kind of don't want to go to the gym. And I was like, wait a second, whose voice even is that? Like, I love what I'm doing. I love my programming. I love going to the gym and working out with my husband. I love moving my body. I love doing all of my mobility and warming up. Every piece of it, I love it. But that autopilot of I get pleasure from not doing things. That autopilot is depleting. So this is a reminder that in order to restore, you've got to genuinely pour out the idea that the things that you thought brought you pleasure. It's like the idea, okay, the best way I can explain this is we reached a point where it was like, okay, can it really be comfort food if you don't feel good after you've eaten it? If comfort food doesn't result in being comforted, and being comfortable, then it's not comfort food. And so when we continue to go back to comfort food that makes us feel uncomfortable, that's kind of this way of going back to old ways of being and thinking and experiencing, and refusing to allow others to pour into you. That's an old way of being. I think that's a big one for me, is like rejecting being poured into, but like really, really wanting it. So I'm going to pull some clarifiers for this as well. So as a reminder, how you can restore this week to allow the actions of patience, self-trust, time, like all of those, the capacity they need. You have to let go of the idea that the things that you thought brought you comfort are actually comfortable, actually pleasurable. The idea that like the comfort zone is the killer of joy, that kind of thing. So again, pulling clarifiers. Magic is either everything or it is nothing. Make a declarative sentence. Make an I am. Magic is either everything or it is nothing, and a magician is only as good as their tools. There is no glory in not using tools that you have at your disposal because you think you're better than them. Connect to people. Tools are for connecting. Tools are for connecting. So magic is either everything or it is nothing. When we connect into this power of making a declarative sentence, we both experience attachment and detachment at once. I've made this declarative sentence and I am totally free to see what happens after it. So magic is either everything or it is nothing. I've been thinking about this like all morning, this idea that I was afraid to make declarative sentences because I'm afraid of the universe being like, ha, you have a plan. Guess what? I got jokes. I'm here. And I'm like, so I'm afraid of the universe coming in to like be lighthearted when I'm taking things seriously. That sounds about right for like everything I've ever experienced. And I'm like, okay, so I don't like being made fun of, but like, how can I experience lightheartedness with the universe? And it was like, make a freaking declarative sentence and then let the universe make their little jokey joke and surprise you in the best possible way. Be open to or better. Be open to this or better. So a magician is only as good as their tools, and magic is either everything or it is nothing. And this is a reminder also that, what is the magician, the wizard quote that we keep saying?
Oh, from Lord of the Rings, Gandalf. He says a magician is never late, nor is he on time. He arrives precisely when he means to.
Yeah. It's now serving 1110. But guess what? It's your ticket, and that's 1111.
Right on time.
Right on time. So trust the right timing too. Trust the wave that you've come in on. I think that's an Alan Watts quote. I'm pretty sure. Trust the wave that you've come in on. So that is our reading for the week, an offering to you. an offering to you. You can also make an offering to that self. If you are someone who is identifying with fortifying yourself, make an offering to yourself in the form of structure for the week ahead. If you are someone who identifies with softening, something that you can do to give yourself an offering this week is, how about you, we got a little ritual going on here. How about we set out an empty cup and we fill it up every single day, and we empty it at the end of the day every day, and we fill it up every day. And this is just a symbolic gesture to yourself that you're allowed to say yes to receiving. I'm allowed to say yes to receiving. I'm allowed to say yes to receiving. I'm allowed to say yes to receiving 3 times every day. And a final theme we have: you will never ever know how any of this is going to turn out until you are doing it. 10 of Pentacles reversed. You will never ever ever know. Open yourself up to being surprised and get used to getting exactly what you want. That is what I have for today. And that one.